Okay, it is the first day of February today, Monday the 1st February, and today we're just looking at finishing off our information text. So we're going to write our final bits on Roman cities and Roman language and numbers. Just to start us off with a bit of grammar, you should already know this, but just to recap, between a main clause and a subordinate clause. So if you take the sentence, Nadia was extremely tired because she had been swimming all day. That's a complex sentence because you've got a subordinate conjunction there, because. And a complex sentence has two parts, a main clause and a subordinate clause. The difference is that the main clause makes sense on its own. You could put a full stop at the end and that'll be a full sentence, whereas subordinate clause does not make sense on its own. So in this sentence, you can see that Nadia was extremely tired is your main clause, because that could be a full sentence, couldn't it? Nadia was extremely tired, makes sense on its own. And your subordinate clause always starts with your subordinate conjunction. So in this case, because. So because she had been swimming all day. That is a subordinate clause because it doesn't make sense on its own. You can't just say because she had been swimming all day on its own, because it's had because there makes it a subordinate clause. So can you have a look? Can you identify the main clauses and the subordinate clauses in these sentences? If you can find the subordinate conjunction, that's always at the beginning of the subordinate clause. And often the comma goes between both clauses so you can tell which is which. Okay, so in these sentences, here are our main clauses. These are the bits which make sense on their own. The kangaroo went to the shop, Simon and his friends went to the park, and ladybirds are fearsome predators. They all make sense on their own, so they're main clauses. The other parts are subordinate clauses, and you can see they all start with a subordinate conjunction. So this one starts with because he needed an umbrella. Since the bell went early, since is your subordinate conjunction, and although they don't look it, although is your subordinate conjunction. Okay. So today we are looking at, can I write an information text? You've written your first two paragraphs. So today we're going to write our second two paragraphs, which are one on Roman cities and one on Roman language and numbers. Hopefully you've got your own notes from Monday and again, from last Monday. And again, you can look back through on the website that we got our notes from. But just in case, here are my notes. So I've got some on language and numbers and I've got some on cities there. So these are my notes. So you can use these if you like. So what are we going to put these together? Our success criteria today is using some subordinate conjunctions. So just a couple in each paragraph of these subordinate conjunctions. Here's some examples: when, because, although, since, even though, before is another one which I'll use. They're not all the subordinate conjunctions in the world, but they're just some to give you an idea. But I'm going to talk you through how I've written my paragraphs, and then you'll see how we put them together. So this is my example of language and numbers. This is what I've written. Again, you can use this to help you. Before the Romans arrived, few people could read or write in Britain. The Romans spoke Latin, and when they arrived, some people in Britain started speaking and writing it too. Although that was thousands of years ago, we now have many words that come from Latin, such as exit and pedestrian. As well as this, some clocks have Roman numbers on them, and some coins have Latin writing on. So really, really simple. Once again, I started with what happened before the Romans arrived, moved on to what the Romans did, and at the end ended up with what it's like nowadays. I've got my subordinate conjunctions there, before and although. So my next one, I'm going to write this with you. So this is about towns and cities. I've got my notes on the right. So this is how I would suggest you would write it, really. Have your notes next to you, and then we're just going to put it kind of together. So firstly, I'm going to start with, what happened before the Romans. So I'm going to say before the Romans arrived, comma, and already that gives me a subordinate conjunction there. So I've got one in the bag before we even started. So I suggest you start with that, before the Romans arrived. Before the Romans arrived, people in Britain lived in small villages. Full stop. And I'm going to go to my notes. It says the Romans introduced the idea of living in big towns and cities. So I'm literally going to put that word for word almost, because it's a full sentence. The Romans introduced the idea of living in big towns and cities. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to cross that out. Oh, there should be a little crossing out button somewhere. Oh, I just delete it for me, but you can like cross yours out so you know you've done that bit. Romans in society living in big towns and cities. So they laid out in a grid. They laid their towns. Yeah, they laid their towns out in a grid, comma, and I'm going to put this next point with a big market square. Big market square in the middle, and then we've got called a forum. So I've done both of those, so I can cross those out. So now I'm going to put. Now it says some Roman town city. It says today I want to put a subordinate conjunction in, and I like the one I put before though. Like although it was thousands of years ago, or I'm going to put even though the Romans left, comma. So that's my subordinate conjunction there. To show you've done that there. Even though the Romans left, many Roman towns still exist today. I'm not going to put, if a place name has Chester, I'm not going to put every single bit of my notes in. That's fine. I'm just going to put such as Manchester and Gloucester. Gloucester, full stop. So I've done both of those notes. So the only thing I've got to put is about London was a Roman city too. So I'm going to put that in as well. So London was a Roman city too, comma, although the Romans called it Londinium. I spelled that wrong. Londinium, there you go. And that has got me another subordinate conjunction in there, that although. So I've done that there. I'm going to get rid of that. So I know I've used all my notes that I wanted to use, and I've got my paragraph here. There you go. I'll just make that nice and big so you can maybe see it a bit clearer. There you go. So we've got, before the Romans arrived, people in Britain lived in small villages. The Romans introduced the idea of living in big towns and cities. They laid their towns out in a grid with a big market square in the middle called a forum. Even though the Romans left, many Roman towns still exist today, such as Manchester and Gloucester. London was a Roman city too, although the Romans called it Londinium. And again, once I've gone from what happened before the Romans got here to then what the Romans did and what happened after the Romans. And I've got 3 subordinate conjunctions in there. So all you need to do then is to put that together into your thing we did yesterday. So yours might not look like this, but it should be laid out in a way you've designed. So you put those 2 paragraphs in, and then tomorrow we're going to go on to something new. So you're welcome if you've got time to do your diagram, adding or did you know box. But that's kind of something, that picture here as well. That's kind of something you can do if you've got a few spare minutes over the next week, just to kind of finish off those little bits and make it look pretty. Maybe put a bit of color in the background, a few pictures, things like that. So that's to you whenever you've got a spare moment, just to finish off making it kind of look really, really nice. But those two paragraphs of what we're doing today, and you can use anything from this PowerPoint. Just go back in the video to help you.